coffee shop was one of those chain places in a shopping mall food court. Not romantic, but safe, public. That was the whole point. I'd been on Tinder for maybe 2 months. Work kept me busy. I'm a paralegal, long hours, not much time to meet people the normal way. Most of my matches fizzled out after a few messages. This one seemed different. Her name was Claire. She worked in marketing, liked hiking, had a dog. We'd been chatting for about a week. Nothing intense, just normal getting to know you stuff. She suggested meeting for coffee on Saturday afternoon, 2:00. I said yes. I got there around 1:30 because I'm always early for things. Gives me time to settle in, check my phone, maybe grab a table. The mall was busy. Weekend crowd, families with kids, teenagers hanging around. Yet the food court had that usual noise, trays clattering, conversations overlapping, the hum of the ventilation system. I ordered a latte and found a table near the window overlooking the main concourse. That's when I saw her. At first I wasn't sure. She was sitting 3 tables over, facing away from me. But the hair matched. Dark, shoulder length, same as her profile photos. She was wearing a green jacket. I remembered that detail because she'd mentioned it in one of our messages. "I'll be the one in the green jacket," she'd said. I checked the time. 1:32. She was half an hour early. Maybe more. I didn't want to seem weird by approaching her before the agreed time, so I just sat there, scrolling through my phone, glancing up occasionally. She didn't move, didn't check her phone, didn't look around. Just sat there, hands folded on the table, staring straight ahead at nothing. My gut told me something was off, but I pushed it down. People zone out. Maybe she was nervous. Maybe she'd gotten there early too, and was just trying to calm herself. I waited. At 1:50, I stood up and walked over. "Claire?" She turned. It was her. Same face as the photos. But her expression was blank. Not nervous. Not friendly. Just empty. "Hi," she said. Flat. No smile. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "You're early." "Yeah." I waited for her to say more. She didn't. "Mind if I sit?" She gestured at the chair across from her. I sat down. The conversation felt like pulling teeth. I asked her about her dog. One-word answers. I asked about her job. She said it was fine. I mentioned the hiking trails she'd talked about in our messages. She just nodded. And after about 10 minutes, I excused myself to use the bathroom. I needed a break. The whole thing felt wrong. Not dangerous, just off. I thought about leaving, maybe texting her later with some excuse, but that felt cowardly. I told myself I was overreacting. First dates are awkward. People don't always match their texting energy in person. When I came back, she was gone. Her jacket was still draped over the chair, but she wasn't there. I looked around the food court. No sign of her. I sat back down, figuring she'd gone to the bathroom too. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I checked my phone. No messages. I opened Tinder. Our chat was still there, but her profile picture had changed. It was the same photo, but something about it looked different. I couldn't put my finger on it. Then I saw her. She was standing on the concourse below, just outside the food court entrance, staring up at me. Not moving, just standing there, hands at her sides, face blank. I felt the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I waved. She didn't wave back, didn't blink, just kept staring. I grabbed my phone and texted her, "Where did you go?" I watched her. She didn't pull out her phone, didn't move at all. My phone buzzed. A reply from Claire. "I'm still at the table. Where are you?" I looked up. The woman on the concourse was still staring at me. I looked back at the table. The green jacket was still there. I texted again. "What are you wearing?" The reply came immediately. "Green jacket, like I said." I stood up and walked to the railing, looking down at the woman on the concourse. She was wearing a green jacket, same shade, same cut. I looked back at the table. The jacket was gone. My heart started pounding. I turned in a slow circle, scanning the food court. I saw her, Claire, or someone who looked exactly like her, sitting at a different table now, closer to the exit, wearing the green jacket, staring at me. I almost called the police right then. I had my phone in my hand, finger hovering over the emergency call button. But what would I say? That my Tinder date was sitting in two places at once? That she was staring at me? It sounded insane. I figured I was just stressed, not sleeping enough, maybe mixing up faces in the crowd. I decided to leave. I didn't text her, didn't say goodbye. I just walked toward the mall exit, keeping my head down, weaving through the weekend crowd. That's when I saw her again. She was standing near the escalators. Same jacket, same blank expression, watching me. I changed direction, heading for a different exit. My gut was screaming at me now. Every instinct told me to get out, get to my car, go home. I passed a directory map and saw her reflection in the glass. She was behind me, close. I spun around. No one there. Just shoppers walking past, oblivious. I kept moving, faster now, pushing through the crowd. I reached the parking garage entrance and took the stairs instead of the elevator. My car was on level 3. I didn't look back until I was inside with the doors locked. I sat there for a long time, hands shaking, trying to catch my breath. I checked my phone. 3 new messages from Claire. "Where did you go? Did I do something wrong? Please don't ghost me." I didn't reply. I deleted the messages, unmatched her, and drove home. And later that night, I checked her profile again. I don't know why. Morbid curiosity, maybe? It was gone. Not just unmatched, completely gone. Like the account had never existed. I tried to find her on social media. Nothing. No Claire with her face. No marketing professional with a dog. No one matching the details she'd given me. I still don't know who she was, or if she was even one person. I think about it a lot, how she was sitting there 3 hours early, how she didn't react when I waved, how I kept seeing her in different places. I never got any answers. I deleted Tinder the next day. Haven't been back on since. Sometimes when I'm in a crowd, I catch myself scanning faces, looking for that green jacket. I haven't seen her again, but I can't shake the feeling that she's still looking for me. I work as a lifeguard at a public swimming pool. It's a leisure complex on the edge of town, one of those big council-run places with a gym attached and a cafe that smells like chlorine no matter how far you sit from the pool entrance. My shifts are usually afternoons into evenings 4 days a week. It's quiet work mostly. I like it. Gives me time to think. I'd been on Tinder for maybe 3 months. I'm not great at meeting people in person. I get nervous, say the wrong thing, overthink everything. Online felt easier. I matched with a guy named Alex. His profile had a few photos, one at a beach, one with a dog, one that looked like it was taken at a wedding. He said he worked in sales, traveled a lot for work. We messaged for about a week before he asked if I wanted to meet up. I said yes. We agreed on a pub near the town center. Nothing fancy. I gave him my first name, that's it. I didn't mention where I worked. I never do. Not until I've met someone a few times. It's just safer that way. The date was fine. Not amazing, not terrible. He talked a lot about his job, about clients and deals and travel. I mostly listened. He seemed nice enough, but I wasn't sure if I felt a connection. We hugged goodbye, and he said he'd message me. I said sure. He did message me. The next day, then the day after that, then again. I replied a couple times, but I was starting to feel like maybe it wasn't going to work out. I didn't ghost him, I'm not like that, but I slowed down my responses. I figured he'd get the hint. Then things got weird. I came into work on a Thursday afternoon, same as always. I changed into my uniform in the staff locker room. I just grabbed my whistle and clipboard and headed out to the poolside. It was a quiet shift. A few kids in the shallow end, a couple of older people doing laps. I sat in the chair, watched the water, let my mind wander. When I came back to the locker room at the end of my shift, there was something on the bench in front of my locker, a bottle of energy drink, the kind I like, the blue one. I stared at it for a second, confused. I thought maybe one of the other lifeguards had left it there by mistake, but it was sitting right in front of my locker, not theirs. I picked it up. There was a post-it note stuck to it. It said, "Thought you might need this after a long shift. A." My stomach dropped. I looked around the locker room. It was empty. I checked the note again, like maybe I'd misread it, but no. A. Alex. And I stood there for a long time, just holding the bottle. My gut was telling me this wasn't right. How did he know where I worked? I hadn't told him. I was sure of it. I'd been careful. I went back through our messages that night just to be certain. Nothing. I'd never mentioned the pool, never mentioned the leisure complex, never even mentioned the part of town I worked in. I told myself maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe he'd seen me here before, recognized me, left the drink as a nice gesture. But that didn't sit right either. If he'd seen me, why not just say hi? Why leave a note? I almost called the police that night. I had my phone in my hand, the number pulled up. But then I thought, what would I even say? Someone left me a drink? They'd think I was overreacting. I put the phone down. I messaged Alex instead. I kept it casual. And I said thanks for the drink, but asked how he knew where I worked. He replied almost immediately. "Oh, I was in the area and saw you through the window. Thought I'd drop by and say hi, but you looked busy, didn't want to interrupt." That didn't make sense. The pool is on the first floor, the windows face the car park. You can't just see someone through them unless you're standing right up against the glass, looking in. And even then, you wouldn't be able to tell who was who from that distance. I didn't reply. The next shift, there was another thing. A chocolate bar this time. Same kind of post-it note. "Hope you're having a good day, A." I felt sick. I looked around the locker room again, like he might be hiding somewhere watching. But it was empty. I asked the other staff if they'd seen anyone come in. They said no. The locker room is technically staff only, but the door doesn't lock during the day. Anyone could walk in if they wanted. I threw the chocolate bar in the bin. I didn't touch it. I messaged Alex again. I told him to stop. I said I wasn't interested, that I didn't want to see him again, and that leaving things at my work was crossing a line. He replied with a sad face emoji and said he was just trying to be nice. He said he thought we had a connection. He said he didn't mean to upset me. I blocked him. But it didn't stop. The next shift, there was a small teddy bear. The shift after that, a packet of biscuits. Each time, a post-it note. Each time, signed A. I told my manager. She said she'd keep an eye out, but there wasn't much she could do unless we caught him in the act. She suggested I move my stuff to a different locker, one further from the door. I did. It didn't help. The next shift, the thing was waiting at the new locker. I started changing at home, coming to work already in my uniform. I stopped using the locker room altogether. But that didn't stop the feeling. The feeling that he was watching, that he knew my schedule, that he'd been inside the building, walking past the pool, maybe even watching me work. I reported it to the police. They took a statement, said they'd look into it, but without proof, without him actually threatening me or doing something illegal, there wasn't much they could do. Leaving gifts isn't a crime, they said, even if it's creepy. I haven't seen him since. I don't know if he's still coming to the pool, still watching. I don't know how he found out where I worked in the first place. I've deleted Tinder. I've changed my route to work. I don't post anything on social media anymore, not even stories, but sometimes when I'm sitting in the lifeguard chair, I get this feeling. Like someone's standing just outside my line of sight, watching. I'll turn my head, scan the viewing gallery, the cafe, the entrance, but there's never anyone there. I still think about it. About how he knew. About what he wanted. About whether he's still out there waiting. I don't have answers. I don't think I ever will. The university campus where I work is about 40 minutes from my flat by train. I'm an admin assistant in the history department, mostly filing and dealing with student queries. Nothing exciting. I've been doing it for 3 years now, same route every day. Walk through the quad, down past the old library, through the side gate near the tennis courts, then 15 minutes to the station. I'd been on Tinder for a while. Not seriously, just swiping when I was bored on the train or before bed. Most conversations fizzled out after a day or two. That's why I was surprised when this guy, Mark, his profile said, actually kept the chat going for nearly a week. He seemed normal. Asked about my job, my hobbies, sent a few memes, nothing pushy. We talked about meeting up for a drink, maybe the weekend, maybe. And then on Thursday, he sent me a message around 4:30 in the afternoon. I was still at my desk, finishing up some filing. The message said, "Hope you have a good walk home. Weather's nice today." I didn't think much of it at first. It was nice out, sunny, bit of a breeze. I replied with something like, "Yeah, looking forward to it," and packed up my bag. I left the office just after 5, same as always. Walked through the quad. There were still a few students around, sitting on the grass, talking. The old library was locked up for the day. I took the path that runs alongside it, the one that cuts through to the side gate. That's when I saw him. He was standing near the tennis courts, just off the path, hands in his pockets, looking at his phone. I wouldn't have noticed, except he glanced up as I walked past, and something about the way he looked at me made my stomach drop. Not threatening exactly, just aware, like he'd been waiting. I kept walking, told myself I was being paranoid. Plenty of people hang around campus. Could have been a mature student, a visitor, anyone. But my gut was telling me something was off. I picked up my pace a little. Not enough to look like I was running, just enough to put distance between us. I went through the side gate and started down the road toward the station. It's a quiet stretch. Mostly residential, a few parked cars, not much foot traffic at that time of day. I pulled out my phone to check the train times and saw another message from Mark. "You always take this route?" I stopped walking. Just stood there on the pavement staring at the screen. My hands were shaking. I looked back over my shoulder. Yes, the road behind me was empty. No one at the gate. No one following. But he'd known. He'd known I was walking. He'd known which way I'd go. I thought about calling someone, my flatmate maybe, or even the campus security. But what would I say? That a guy I'd been chatting to on Tinder had sent me a weird message? That I'd seen someone near the tennis courts who might have been him? It sounded ridiculous even in my head. I figured I was overreacting. Maybe he'd guessed based on something I'd said in our chats. Maybe it was just a coincidence. I didn't reply. I put my phone in my pocket and kept walking faster now. The station was about 10 minutes away. I just needed to get there. Get on the train. Get home. I'd block him once I was somewhere public, but then I saw him again. He was at the end of the street, standing near the corner where the road turns toward the station. Same guy, same posture, hands in his pockets, looking at his phone. He wasn't looking at me, but I knew it was him. I don't know how I knew, but I did. Every instinct told me to turn around, to go back to campus, to find someone, anyone. I didn't. I kept walking. I told myself maybe he was just going to the station too. Maybe he lived nearby. Maybe this was all in my head. But my heart was pounding so hard, I could hear it in my ears. As I got closer, he looked up, smiled. Not a big smile, just a little one, like he was pleased to see me. He didn't say anything, didn't move, just watched me walk past. I didn't look at him. I kept my eyes straight ahead and walked as fast as I could without breaking into a run. The station was just ahead now. I could see the entrance, the ticket barriers, the few people milling around on the platform. Safety. Witnesses. I got through the barriers and onto the platform. My train was due in 4 minutes. I stood near the edge, as far from the entrance as I could get, and pulled out my phone. 3 more messages from Mark. You look stressed. I'm not trying to scare you. I just wanted to see if you were real. I blocked him. Hands still shaking, I blocked his number and deleted the chat. Then I opened WhatsApp and messaged my flatmate, told her I'd be home soon, and to make sure the door was locked. She replied with a confused emoji but said okay. The train came. I got on, found a seat near the middle of the carriage where there were other people, and sat with my back to the window so I could see the doors. I kept expecting him to get on, and kept expecting to see him standing on the platform, watching. But he didn't. The doors closed. The train pulled away. I didn't see him again after that. I reported it to campus security the next day, gave them a description, told them about the messages. They said they'd keep an eye out, but there wasn't much they could do unless he came back. I changed my route home for a few weeks after that, took the long way round through the main entrance, avoided the side gate entirely. I also deleted Tinder. Haven't been back on since. The thing that still gets me, though, is that I never told him where I worked. I never mentioned the university, never said anything about my route home. I went back through our chat history before I blocked him. I'd saved screenshots just in case, and there's nothing, no clues, no hints. He just knew. Oh, I still think about it sometimes. When I'm walking home, when I'm alone on a quiet street, I get this sinking feeling that someone's watching, that he's still out there, keeping track. I don't know what he wanted. I don't know if he ever meant to do anything or if he was just, I don't know, testing me, seeing how far he could go. I never got answers, and I don't think I ever will.